The fork clattered against the porcelain plate like a gunshot in the quiet dining room. Madison's hand trembled as she set it down, her knuckles white from gripping too tight. Her mother's voice sliced through the air again, honeyed but barbed. Madison, honey, it's just a phase. All this nonsense with girls. You'll wake up one day and want the real thing, a husband, kids, a life. Madison stared at the half-eaten roast beef congealing on her plate, the gravy pooling like blood from an old wound. The family table in their cramped Ohio farmhouse groaned under the weight of tradition, scalloped potatoes mashed with too much butter and the unspoken rules that had choked her since she was 16. Her father grunted into his napkin, avoiding her eyes as always. Uncle Ray, the loud one, chuckled low and mean. Yeah, Mads. Remember that summer you tried fixing cars with Tommy? Thought you were a boy then too. Now it's skirts and whatever this is. She felt the heat rise in her chest, a familiar burn that started in her gut and clawed up her throat. 28 years old and still here, still enduring these dinners because blood was thicker than the ink on her coming out letter they'd burned in the backyard fire pit 2 Thanksgivings ago. The smoke had lingered for days, curling into her dreams like accusations. Madison pushed back her chair, the legs scraping the linoleum with a screech that made her aunt flinch. I'm done, she said, her voice steady but thin like cracked ice. Done pretending. Done eating this poison. Her mother's fork hovered mid-air, pearls of pearl onion dangling. Madison, Elizabeth, don't you dare walk out on family night. But Madison was already moving, her boots thudding soft on the faded rug toward the door where her duffel bag waited, packed in secret under the porch swing. The screen door slapped shut behind her, the humid July night swallowing her whole. Stars blinked indifferent overhead as she slid into her beat-up Ford pickup, the engine coughing to life like an old friend with regrets. She drove west, no plan, just the hum of tires on I-70 and the ache in her ribs from holding back tears. Ohio faded in the rearview, a flat green blur of cornfields and closed mines. By dawn she'd crossed into Indiana, the sun painting the dashboard gold. Her phone buzzed, ignored texts from Mom. Come back. We love you. Love. The word twisted in her like a knife. What they meant was change. Become someone else, someone straight, someone safe. Madison pulled into a truck stop off the interstate, the kind with fluorescent lights buzzing like angry wasps. She ordered black coffee from a waitress with tired eyes and a name tag reading Darlene. Rough night, sugar? Darlene asked, sliding the mug across chipped formica. Madison nodded, sipping the bitter brew that scalded her tongue. Family stuff. Darlene leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspirator's whisper. I get it. Mine disowned my brother for the same. He's in California now, happier than a pig in slop. You headed that way? California. The word shimmered like a promised land of palm trees and possibilities where maybe a girl like her could breathe without apology. Madison fished a crumpled 20 from her jeans. Yeah. Think I am. Darlene winked, tucking the change into her apron. Good for you, hon. And hey, if you need a place to crash in Frisco, my cousin runs a little B&B off Haight. Name's Skylar. Tell her Darlene sent you. Skylar. The name stuck like a melody half remembered. Madison paid up and hit the road again, the coffee sloshing warm in her belly. Hours blurred into a montage of billboards for Jesus Saves and golden arches everywhere. She crossed deserts in Nevada, the air shimmering heat waves that made the horizon dance. By twilight on day 3 the Pacific gleamed like shattered glass ahead, and San Francisco sprawled below, fog-kissed hills alive with lights that didn't judge. She found the B&B, a Victorian charmer squeezed between a tattoo parlor and a vegan cafe, the sign reading Foggy Haven in curly script. The door chime tinkled soft as she stepped inside, bellied by the scent of lavender and fresh sourdough. A woman emerged from the back, her movements fluid like she owned the space without trying. Tall, with skin like polished walnut, hair cropped close in neat twists, she wore a linen shirt rolled to the elbows and khakis that hugged her hips just right. 30 maybe, her eyes deep brown pools holding stories Madison could drown in. You must be Darlene's stray, the woman said, her smile crooked, warm as sun on stone. I'm Skylar. Rooms upstairs, second on the right. No charge tonight. Cousin Perks. Madison dropped her bag, the weight lifting sudden. Madison. Thanks. I didn't expect. Skylar shrugged, waving it off. We all need a soft landing sometime. Kitchen's open if you're hungry. Made gumbo earlier. They ate at the scarred oak table in the breakfast nook, Skylar ladling spicy roux over rice while Madison spilled her guts, the words tumbling out unbidden. The family dinner, the mocking, the burn of that letter in the flames. Skylar listened, head tilted, her spoon idle in the bowl. When Madison trailed off, voice cracking on a sigh, Skylar reached across the table, her fingers brushing Madison's wrist, light as a promise. They don't get it because they won't. But you? You're free now, Mads. That's the shock they'll never recover from. That night Madison lay in the four-poster bed sheets crisp as new snow, the city murmuring lullabies outside. Sleep came, fitful dreams of Ohio fields morphing into ocean waves crashing with faces, her mother's pleading, Uncle Ray's sneer dissolving into foam. She woke to sunlight slanting through lace curtains and the clatter of pans below. Downstairs Skylar flipped pancakes, her back to the room, humming something bluesy, low and soulful. Morning glory, Skylar said, plating a stack drizzled with maple. Figured you'd need fuel for whatever comes next. Madison slid onto a stool, watching Skylar's hands sore and scarred from knives and heat. What if I don't know what comes next? Skylar turned, her gaze steady. Then you stay. Help me out here. I'm short-handed and you're handy with a story. Or a whisk if you've got skills. It started simple. Madison lingered a week, then two, trading chores for the attic room with its slanted ceilings and bay window overlooking Golden Gate Park. She swept porches, folded linens, learned the rhythm of check-ins and turn-down service. Skylar taught her the city in stolen afternoons, cable cars rattling up Hyde Street, burritos from taquerias where the salsa burned holy. One evening as fog rolled in thick as guilt, they walked the Embarcadero, hands brushing accidental then not. Skylar's laugh echoed off the water when Madison tripped on a cobblestone. Clumsy heart, she teased, and Madison's pulse stuttered because yeah, maybe. The kiss happened on a Tuesday, rain-slicked and sudden. They'd closed up late, a couple from Texas lingering over wine, waxing poetic about the bridge. Skylar locked the door, flipped the sign to closed and turned to find Madison wiping counters, her apron askew. You missed a spot, Skylar said, stepping close, her breath mint and clove. Madison glanced up, their eyes locking, the air thick with unsaid things. Skylar's hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing the curve of her jaw, and then lips met, soft exploratory tasting of Cabernet and courage. Madison melted into it, her fingers tangling in Skylar's twists, a sigh escaping like air from a punctured lung. They broke apart, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling. Been wanting that, Skylar murmured, her voice rough with want. Madison nodded, throat tight. Me too. Scared though. Last time. Skylar's arms wrapped around her, solid as oak. No last times here, Mads. Just us. Weeks blurred into months, the B&BA cocoon where love unfurled slow and sure. Madison found her footing baking scones in the industrial kitchen, her hands dusted with flour like fresh snow. Guests raved about the lavender shortbread, the lemon curd tarts that burst tart sweet on the tongue. Skylar handled the books, the marketing, her laptop always open to spreadsheets and social feeds. You're a natural, she'd say, watching Madison pipe, icing roses precise as poetry. This place was dying before you. Now? It's blooming. But Ohio tugged like a frayed thread. A letter arrived, crisp envelope postmarked Cleveland. Mom's handwriting slanted, careful. We miss you. Dad's not well. Come home. Madison read it aloud to Skylar, curled on the window seat, fog pressing against the glass. Skylar's jaw tightened, her fingers lacing with Madison's. Go if you need to. But come back. This is home now. Madison folded the paper, small as her resolve. Not yet. Can't face them empty-handed. The idea sparked over coffee one drizzly dawn, Skylar scrolling listings for commercial spaces, her brow furrowed. What if we expand? Not just beds. A cafe downstairs. You're baking front and center. Madison's heart tripped. Me? In charge? Skylar grinned fierce. Hell yes. Show the world what you've got. Show them. They dove in headlong, loans from Skylar's savings, permits filed in triplicate. Madison scouted suppliers, flour from a mill in Napa, butter from a dairy upstate. The space they found was a gutted storefront on Castro Street, heart of the Rainbow District, walls peeling but bones strong. Demolition day, Madison swung the sledgehammer, first plaster exploding in white clouds, her laugh echoing wild. Skylar cheered from the sidelines, hard hat crooked. That's my girl. Renovations dragged through fall, leaves turning gold in the park, the air crisp with bay salt and possibility. Madison sketched menus late into nights, lavender lattes, matcha scones, rainbow macarons piped in pride colors. Skylar charmed contractors, her smile disarming as a secret. 2 weeks, the foreman promised, wiping sawdust from his beard. You're killing it, ladies. Doubt crept in quiet moments when the bank statements glared red or a supplier jacked prices on vanilla beans. Madison paced the half-finished floorboards, her boots leaving prints in the dust. What if it flops, Sky? Back to Ohio with my tail tucked. Skylar pulled her down onto a paint tarp amid drop cloths and spackled walls. Then we pivot. But it won't. You've got magic in those hands. She kissed Madison's knuckles, flour-flecked and calloused. And I've got faith enough for both of us. Opening day dawned, clear November sky, a brilliant blue that mocked the butterflies in Madison's stomach. The sign went up, hand-painted in looping script, Haven Hearth Cafe. Balloons bobbed from the awning table, spilled onto the sidewalk under striped umbrellas. Skylar manned the register, her blouse crisp, guests streaming in from the morning rush. Madison hid in the back oven mitt, scorching her palms as trays emerged, golden apple turnovers flaky as autumn leaves. The line snaked around the block, by noon Castro buzzing with locals and tourists drawn by the buzz on Skylar's Insta posts. A drag queen in full regalia ordered a dozen cupcakes, her wig towering like a crown. Darling, these are fierce, she declared, biting into one, cream spilling like joy. Madison peeked from the pass-through, her cheeks flushing hot. Sold out already? Skylar called back, breathless. On the scones, yes. Keep baking, babe. By close the till overflowed, receipts a blizzard on the counter. They collapsed onto the cafe floor amid empty boxes, feet tangled, exhaustion sweet as the air. Skylar traced patterns on Madison's arm, lazy swirls. Told you. Madison sighed deep, the sound rumbling from her chest. Yeah. But it's real now. What if they find out? Skylar's eyes sharpened. Let them. This is your shock and awe. Christmas came wrapped in tinsel and twinkle lights, the cafe a wonderland of garlands and gingerbread houses mortared with royal icing. Madison's family called sporadic at first, mom's voice tinny over the line. Sounds nice, dear. But when are you coming home? Madison cradled the phone against her shoulder, kneading dough, her knuckles whitening the mass. Busy, mom. Shop's thriving. A pause heavy as lead. With that. Friend? Skylar's laugh floated from the front, where she iced cookies shapes of stars and fists. Madison smiled faint. Partner. Her name's Skylar. The line went quiet, static hissing like disapproval. Then click. Madison set the receiver down, gentle, her throat tight. Skylar appeared, wiping hands on her apron, snowman print faded. Rough? Madison nodded, leaning into her, the scent of clove and pine soothing. They'll come around. Or they won't. But we've got this. They decorated the tree that night, a scraggly thing hauled from the lot, strings of cranberries and paper chains crafted from old menus. Skylar hung the star crooked on purpose. Perfection's boring, she said, kissing Madison under it, mistletoe forgotten. Winter deepened, rains lashing the windows like accusations. The cafe flourished, reviews glowing on Yelp, tales of the lesbian love nest with killer pastries. Madison blushed reading them aloud over closing shifts, her voice pitching high on the flirty bits. Skylar crowed. See? We're famous. But fame drew shadows. A letter arrived, forwarded from Ohio, stiff envelope reeking of printer ink. Uncle Ray's scrawl. Heard about your little tea party. Shame on the family. Don't come crawling back. Madison crumpled it, fingers shaking, tears hot on her cheeks. She stormed into the kitchen, hurling it into the trash, where it landed amid eggshells and coffee grounds. Skylar found her there, slumped against the fridge, sobs muffled in her apron. Hey, hey, Skylar murmured, gathering her close, rocking gentle. Breathe, Mads. It's poison. Flush it. Madison clung tighter, her breath hitching. Why can't they just let me be? Skylar's hand stroked her hair, steady. Because change scares them. But you're not changing. You're blooming. They pushed through Valentine's glut of heart-shaped eclairs dipped in raspberry coulis. Madison experimented rosewater panna cotta layered with pistachios, green as hope. Skylar planned a couple's night, live jazz from a local trio, saxes wailing low and blue. The crowd swelled, tables full, lovers leaning close, whispers and clinks of wine glasses. Madison circulated, tray in hand, offering samples, her smile practiced but genuine. A woman in the corner caught her eye, mid-30s, sharp bob, silver streak at the temple. "This is divine," she said, sampling a tart. "You the baker?" Madison nodded. "Guilty." The woman extended a card embossed gold. "Lena Voss, executive chef, the Spotted Owl. We're opening a pop-up downtown. Need a pastry partner." "Think about it." Madison pocketed it, dazed, watching Lena weave through the throng. Skylar sidled up, later brow arched. "Spill." Madison fanned herself with the card. "Big league invite." Skylar hooped, pulling her into a spin amid the dancers' skirts flaring. "That's my girl. World domination next." Spring tiptoed in cherry blossoms, dusting the sidewalks pink as spun sugar. The cafe hit 6 months registers, chiming like victory bells. Madison hired help, a barista named Jax, non-binary, with tattoos blooming up their arms and a knack for latte art that turned foam into unicorns. Training days filled with laughter, Jax's quips sharp as Skylar's. "Boss lady, you bake like you love fierce," Jax said one afternoon, piping borders on a cake. Madison flushed. "Learned from the best." Skylar's marketing magic worked overtime, collabs with queer artists, murals splashed on the alley wall, portraits of couples intertwined in chalk pastels. Foot traffic doubled, influencers snapping pics for the gram, captions hashtagged Haven Hearts. Madison watched from the window one sunny noon, the line diverse as the city, trans folks, elders, kids with parents who held hands unashamed. Her chest swelled, pride sharp as fresh yeast. "We did this," she whispered to Skylar during a rare lull, arms wrapped from behind. But the past circled like a hawk. Mom called again, voice frail. "Dad's in the hospital, heart stuff. He asks for you." Madison's mixer whirred overhead, drowning the words but not the guilt. She hung up mid-sentence, dialing Skylar instead, who was at a supplier meet in Oakland. "I have to go," she blurted, tears pricking. Skylar's voice crackled, calm. "Go. I'll hold the fort. Just come back to me." Madison packed that night, jeans and tees crammed into a roller bag, the drive east a blur of motels and mile markers. Ohio greeted her, gray skies and the hospital's antiseptic sting. Dad lay pale in the bed, tubes snaking like accusations, monitors beeping steady. Mom hovered bedside, eyes red-rimmed. "You came." Madison nodded, throat dry. "For him." Dad stirred, eyes fluttering open. "Mads." His hand weak in hers. "Heard about your shop. Cookies or something?" Madison forced a smile. "Pastries, Dad. It's good. Real good." Family filtered in, aunts, uncles, cousins, murmurs low. Uncle Ray cornered her in the hall, breath sour with beer. "Fancy setup out west. With your roommate." Madison straightened, spine steel. "Partner. And it's a business, not a setup." Ray snorted. "Still playing pretend." She walked away, head high, the elevator dinging like a full stop. Nights in the childhood room, posters, faded ghosts, she tossed fitful dreams of Skylar's arms, the cafe's warmth. Mom knocked once, tray of tea in hand. "Proud of you," she said, soft, sitting on the bed's edge. Madison sat up, sheets pooling. "Really?" Mom sighed, fingers twisting the quilt. "Scared me is all. But seeing you there so sure. Maybe I was wrong." The words hung fragile as spun sugar. Madison reached out, tentative, their hands clasping, awkward but true. She stayed a week, Dad mending, slow talks halting over hospital jello. "Love you, kid," he rasped, discharge day. Madison hugged him, careful, tears silent. "Love you too." The drive west, lighter skies clearing to blue. She called Skylar from a rest stop, Nebraska flatlands stretching endless. "I'm coming home." Skylar's laugh bubbled. "'Bout time." Jax burned the croissants, but the heart's intact. Summer scorched the city, heat waves rippling off the pavement like bad dreams. The cafe adapted iced matcha floats, lavender lemonade in mason jars, sweating condensation. Madison dove into the pop-up with Lena Voss, the Spotted Owl, a sleek space in the mission walls reclaimed, wood tables communal long. Prep started at dawn, Madison hauling trays to the shared kitchen, her truck groaning under the load. "You're a machine," Lena said one morning, apron tied back, hair in a net. "Where you been hiding?" Small-town purgatory, Madison replied, whisking ganache smooth as silk. Lena chuckled, knife flashing as she julienned rhubarb. Know the type. Mine's in Jersey. Sent me to culinary school to straighten me out. Joke's on them. They bonded over burns and late nights. The pop-up a hit lines for Madison's deconstructed Black Forest cake, layers of chocolate soil, cherries like rubies. Reviews poured, an eater feature calling it a queer confectioner's triumph. Skylar framed the clipping above the register, gold Sharpies starburst around her name. Success swelled the cafe's seams, reservations stacking like pancakes. They knocked out the wall to the B&B, merging spaces into one haven, lobby flowing into dining nook, bookshelves crammed with dog-eared Audre Lorde and Alison Bechdel. Madison curated the menu, seasonal whims, blackberry basil tarts, cornmeal cookies evoking Midwest summers without the sting. Skylar launched workshops, mixology classes led by Jack's, pie-making sessions where couples smeared faces with dough, laughing messy. But growth, not edges. Suppliers hiked rates again, vanilla from Madagascar tripled overnight. Madison crunched numbers at the oak table, lamplight pooling yellow, her pencil snapping midsum. We're bleeding sky. Skylar peered over her shoulder, glasses perched low. Pivot time. Farmers market booth? Pop-ups in LA? Madison rubbed her temples, sigh escaping slow. Exhausted just thinking. Skylar massaged her shoulders, thumbs digging knots. One step. We've climbed hills before. The booth debuted at the Ferry Building, market stalls bursting with heirloom tomatoes and sourdough rounds. Madison manned the tent, awnings striped red, her table laden with samples, petit fours, dusted cocoa. Crowds milled, curious, Skylar hawking with flair. Taste the love, folks, baked by a badass baker. A kid tugged his mom's sleeve, pointing. Mommy, the rainbow cookies. Sales soared, bags rustling, cash box filling heavy. Word from Ohio trickled, good at first, dad's checkups clear, mom sending photos of the garden tulips defiant in the clay. Then a package arrived, brown paper wrapped tight. Madison untied the twine inside a photo album, yellowed pages. Baby pics, her in pigtails, prom awkward with a date, who smelled of too much cologne. Tucked in the back a note, mom's script. Remember who you are. This city's changing you. Madison's stomach knotted, the album slamming shut. She carried it to the park bench under eucalyptus shade, leaves rustling judgment. Skylar found her there an hour later, ice cream cones melting in hand. Brought reinforcements, she said, plopping down, offering strawberry. Madison took it, licking slow, the cold soothing. They think I'm lost. Skylar nodded, chewing thoughtful. Or found. Depends on the map. They sat quiet, gulls wheeling overhead, the bay choppy blue. Madison leaned her head on Skylar's shoulder, weight lifting gradual. Miss them sometimes. The good parts. Skylar kissed her temple soft. Bring the good here. We'll make our own family. Fall painted the hills amber, harvest moon hanging low. The cafe hosted its first anniversary bash, invite-only, string lights twinkling, patio heaters warding chill. Jack's DJ'd vinyl spins of Billie Holiday, sultry low. Madison circulated tray of champagne flutes, bubbles rising like hope. Lena arrived bearing a cake-tiered masterpiece, her grin wide. To queens of the kitchen. Guests toasted clinks, echoing stories, shared circles of survivors, hands clasped. Uncle Ray's call came mid-party, static laced from a bar stool, no doubt. Skylar answered phone to ear, brow furrowing. She's occupied. Can I help? Madison snatched it away, voice pitched over the jazz. What, Ray? His slur thick. Saw your fancy write-up. Girly Mag's calling you a star. Dad's spinning in his grave, early but proud, no weight ashamed. Madison's grip tightened, plastic creaking. He's fine. And so am I. Goodbye. She hung up, tossing the phone onto the bar, tears pricking hot. Skylar pulled her into the alley, air cool on flushed skin. Breathe, she murmured, hands framing Madison's face, thumbs wiping tracks. He's drunk and small. You're vast. Madison sobbed, then laughed, hiccuping. Vast. I like that. They kissed, fierce alley shadows hiding nothing, the party hum filtering through brick. Winter holidays loomed, the cafe a frenzy of orders, Yule logs, studded chestnuts, peppermint bark shattered like joy. Madison flew east unbidden, Dad's 60th looming. The farmhouse decked, minimal pine bough on the mantel, no tree lights sparse. Family gathered, tense undercurrents. Mom hugged her tight. Scent of Chanel. No. 5 and worry. Glad you're here. Dad clapped her back. Awkward. Brought sweets. Madison unpacked the tin lavender shortbread. Dusted sugar. For you. Dinner unfolded. Polite plates passed. Turkey dry as regret. Conversation skirted edges. Whether the Browns' losing streak. Uncle Ray silent for once. Nursing Scotch. Eyes averted. After pie cleared. Mom pulled her aside. Kitchen sink sudsing. Saw the article. Beautiful shop. Madison dried a plate. Careful. It is. Skylar's the brains. Mom paused. Sponge dripping. Skylar. The? Partner. Yes. Silence stretched. Then Mom nodded. Slow. Invite us sometime. See it. Madison's heart stuttered. Really? Mom smiled. Faint crinkles deepening. Really? Tired of missing you. Hugs. Goodbye. Lingered. Dad's whisper. Rough. Proud kid. Even if it took me too long. The flight west. Buoyant. Madison texted Skylar midair. They want to visit. Skylar's reply pinged. Landing. Bring it. We'll dazzle. Spring bloomed riotous. The cafe experimenting rhubarb compote. Elderflower syrups. The visit landed. May skies. Cerulean. Mom and Dad tentative at the door. Suitcases monogrammed. Skylar greeted. Warm tour guiding through the nook. Shelves of queer lit. The mural vivid. Welcome to our world, she said. Hand on Madison's back. Steady. Mom's eyes widened at the pride flag fluttering awning. Bold. They lunched. Patio tables laden. Quiche. Lorraine flaking steam. Dad forked bites. Deliberate. Better than Mom's. Mom swatted. Playful. Hush. Conversation flowed. Halting. Then easy. Recipes swapped. Market tips. Jack's charmed with a unicorn latte. Foam horn spiraling. Uncle Ray absent. No invite extended. Bridges unbuilt yet. Evening found them on the deck. String lights. Soft wine poured. Mom leaned close to Madison. Voice low. She's good for you. Steady. Madison nodded. Throat full. The best. Dad raised his glass. Gruff. To new starts. Clink sealed it. Tentative but true. They left next dawn. Hugs. Airport. Long promises to return. Summer peaked. Heat shimmering. The cafe air-conditioned. Haven fans whirring. Madison inked a deal with Lena. Permanent pastry gig at the Owl. 3 nights weekly. You're locked in. Lena said. Contract signing. Pen scratching. Skylar threw a party. Rooftop bash. Skyline glittering. Toasts flew to Madison. The unflappable. She blushed. Pulling Skylar close. Danced slow. Hips swaying to Coltrane. But cracks spidered. Jack's quit sudden for art school. Portland. Tears at goodbye. You made me brave, they said. Hugging fierce. Hiring frenzy followed. Resumes. Piling baristas. Flaking trials. Disastrous espresso shots. Bitter as betrayal. Madison slumped. Closing shift. Registers tallied low. We're slipping. Skylar rubbed her back. Circles soothing. Hire slow. Get it right. The new hire arrived. September. Rain pattering windows. Riley 22. Freckles like constellations. Undercut. Fade blue tips. She brewed perfect pour-overs. Memory eidetic orders rattling off flawless. Madison watched wary. Then warming. Riley's quips landing gentle. You're the magic maker, huh? Riley said. One shift. Wiping counters. Madison smiled faint. Trying. Fall deepened. Leaves crunching underfoot. Harvest fair in the park. Booths hawking pumpkins and cider. The cafe partnered. Stall of mini pies. Hand pies. Flaky filled. Apple bourbon. Crowds thronged. Kids sticky-fingered. Skylar's booth banter. Drawing laughs. Madison manned the oven. Portable rig smoking faint. A face emerged from the press. Familiar. Sharp. Uncle Ray. Clean-shaven. Suit ill-fit. Mads. She froze. Pie crust crumbling in her grip. Ray. He shifted. Awkward. Hands pocketed. Mom sent me. Check on things. Madison's pulse thrummed. Things are fine. He nodded. Eyeing the stall. Pride stickers bumpered. Looks it. Dad talks about your tarts. Says they're why he walks more. A beat. Sorry about before. Booze talking mostly. Madison exhaled slow. Mostly. He extended a hand. Calloused. Truce. She shook. Tentative. Truce. He bought a dozen pies. Boxed. Careful. For the drive back. Vanished into the crowd. Madison's chest loosening thread by thread. Winter wrapped the city in silver. Frost etching windows. Lace. The cafe hunkered. Warm hearth fire crackling in the new insert. Logs popping sparks. Madison's menu warmed Soul's hot toddy cupcakes, spiked rum gingerbread lattes frothy. Riley settled seamless shifts, humming indie folk steam wand hissing. Skylar eyed expansion again, eyes on the empty lot adjacent, chain link rattling wind. Imagine a garden patio, herbs growing, tables under stars. Madison paced the idea, blueprints sketched on napkins. Risky. But yes, stars. Loans consulted, architects, drafts piling. Ground broke, March mud sucking boots, the crew cheerful, hammers ringing. Progress photos dotted Skylar's feed, captions, haven grows. Mom commented, heart emojis, dad lurking silent like. The garden bloomed, May herbs, basil, thyme, rosemary, bushy pots, terracotta. Opening night, soft fairy lights strung, arbors twining, jasmine scent heady. Guests overflowed, patio spilling, laughter, wine flowing. Lena arrived bearing charcuterie boards, sliced prosciutto rosettes. To green thumbs and golden hearts. Madison circulated, feet aching, bliss, her apron swapped for a sundress, floral soft. Ray returned unannounced, June skies bruised, storm brewing. He knocked mid-rush, door chime insistent. Madison wiped hands, approaching wary. Twice in a year. Record. He smiled, sheepish, pie box in hand, homemade, lopsided. Practice. Mom's recipe tweaked. They sat, nook coffee steaming. Talk meandered, weather then work, his garage struggling post-recession. Saw your story in the paper. Local hero stuff. Madison sipped black. Not hero. Just doing. Ray nodded, fingers drumming mug. Wish I'd seen sooner. Instead of. You know. She met his eyes steady. Yeah. But here we are. He left with a hug, awkward bone crush. Keep shining, Mads. Summer crescendoed, heat relentless, the garden oasis, shade sails billowing. The cafe hit 2 years, gala planned, black tie optional, drag show centerpiece. Madison baked, towers, crocumbush, spun sugar, fragile as dreams. Skylar emceed, mic in hand, sequins glinting. To family chosen and mended. Eyes found Madison's across the room, love raw. Fall harvest brought mom and dad again, suitcases heavier, hearts lighter. They tended the garden, mom's hands dirt streaked, pruning, shears snipping. Like my plot but sunnier. Dad sampled the menu, methodical, fork tines precise. This bread pudding. Heaven. Evenings they walked Castro, hands unlinked but close, Skylar pointing landmarks, rainbow crosswalks, the Castro Theater marquee flickering. One night post-closing, 4 of them at the oak table, candles guttering wax. Mom unfolded, tentative. We've been talking therapy actually. For us. Dad grunted affirmative. Stubborn old fool me. But learning. Madison's eyes stung, Skylar's hand under the table squeeze. That's huge. Hugs lingered, airport dawn promises, annual visits. Winter solstice, the cafe quiet, post-rush, snow rare, dusting the bridge white. Madison locked up last, Riley waving goodbye, Skylar waiting in the truck, heater blasting. They drove winding Lombard hairpins, dizzying, city lights smearing. Home, the attic loft, now there's exposed beams, art clustered. Madison poured wine, glasses clinking. To us. Skylar pulled her close, slow dance, no music, just heartbeats. To shocks that heal. Madison sighed, content, nuzzling her neck, pull steady. They came around. Slow but sure. Skylar hummed agreement. You led the way. Brave as hell. Spring eternal, the garden thrived, bees humming, lavender spikes. Madison's book deal landed, agent thrilled, proposal, pastries and stories, queer resilience. Signings loomed, but first the wedding, small affair, garden vows under arbor, jasmine wreathing. Mom teary, officiant, dad beaming, best man Jax returned for the day, Riley maid of honor, blue tips windswept. Rings exchanged, simple gold bands etched intertwined. I do, Madison said, voice clear, Skylar's I do echo. Quiche said betas dos som fettiroit. Reception flowed, pies uncut, forks diving, laughter cascading. Uncle Ray cornered Madison later, cigar unlit. Beautiful Mads. Deserve it. She nodded, throat full. Thanks, Ray. Years folded, seasons cycling, the cafe anchor, community hub, fundraisers for youth shelters, art shows, murals refreshed. Madison's book flew shelves, stories woven, her tarts, recipes annotated, love notes from Skylar. Family visits, ritual, mom baking alongside dad critiquing, gentle Ray dropping tools to visit, garage dreams swapped. One autumn dusk, Madison stood patio surveying her realm, tables full, faces diverse, love in every glance. Skylar sidled up, arm looping waist. Penny? Madison smiled, sky-streaked rose. Just grateful. From that dinner to this. Skylar kissed her temple soft. You shocked them all right. And us all? The sun-dipped horizon gilding the city gold, Madison's heart full measure. Life not perfect, scars faint but present. Yet in the warmth of Skylar's hold the gardens hum, the family's distant but steady pulse, she found grace. Not ending but echo, a life baked tender, resilient, sweet as the first bite.